Hi, I'm Mike with the School of Self Reliance, and today we're going to talk about gas masks and MOP gear, or Mission Oriented Protective Posture Gear, and your gas mask being the primary part of that. But we're going to talk about what kinds of gas masks are out there, how you should shop for them, and figure out what's best for your needs. And we're going to come right back and talk about that in just a minute. Gas masks come in different sizes, just like any other piece of clothing. This particular one is a Russian-built gas mask in size large. Now, the Russians must have a different kind of definition of what large is as far as I'm concerned, because this is more like what would be a medium here in America. So if it says large and it's Russian, get an extra large. You'll probably need it. Most European sizes, to me, actually seem to run a lot smaller. One thing I always tell people about gas masks is when you see them in the surplus store like this laying in a box, that's not the gas mask for you. That's not what you want to stake your life on in a chemical, nuclear, or biological event. Those masks, the seals around the eyes might be bad, the seals around here might be bad. Any of the filtration seals might be bad. That mask is laying out in the open, it's been stretched, it's been whatever. And I see people a lot of times, they take their mask and they'll put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off, breathe through it, and so on. You need to buy a cheap, crappy mask if you're going to practice with your mask. And I do recommend that you do practice with your mask. But buy one of those surplus store cheapos out of the box, or buy an extra that is used of the exact type of mask you're going to use, and practice with that one. Because what you're doing is you're breaking down its expected life. And most masks come sealed in plastic. Okay, they already have a bag, they're inside of a box, and they're sealed up for a reason. Leave that mask just the way that it is. Take that mask out of the plastic, put it in your carrier, and so on. Just adjust it for your size and so on, but don't put it on and breathe through it. Get a crappy one for that. Get one exactly like the one you intend to use, only used, and practice a lot with that one, and have your family do it with that one. Because the more you practice with the one you intend to use, the actual one you intend to use, the more likely it is it will fail when you need it. And the Russian ones, one of the things that you always want to look for in any gas mask, whether it's Russian, American, or whatever, you want an external filter. You want an external filter, something that threads on from the outside. Okay, something that you can change physically from the outside without having to remove your mask. The United States military, for a good number of years, with the M20, it's either the M29 or M27 gas mask, it had internal filters. You had to remove the mask in order to change the filters. And it took about 3 minutes to 5 minutes to change the filters on that mask. So you're not going to hold your breath the whole time while doing it. And external filters, you can always tell. They simply have a port that they screw into. You want an external filter mask. So the other thing is most masks these days come with an attachment for drinking. On the inside of the mask, there will be a tube like this, or a bite tube that you can get your mouth around and get a hold of in your teeth and lips. And on the outside, it will have a plug-in for an NBC canteen, or nuclear, bio, and chemical capable canteen. It just plugs right in, you tilt the canteen upside down, and you drink through it. Believe me, that is an incredibly useful feature, because if you are in this mask for any length of time, all activities inside of a gas mask are twice as hard. You are pulling air through a filter with your lung action, so it causes you to breathe harder. You have to inhale harder and exhale harder. And also, it's hot. It's going to make you sweat. I promise that it will. It's uncomfortable to do these things in a gas mask, so that ability to drink through the mask is going to come in great handy, especially if you're in it for 8 or 9 hours or a couple of filter changes in a nuclear event or something like that, or a chemical event. Then believe me, you're going to be very, very grateful that you're able to take a drink while wearing this mask. You also want to make sure that the fit of the mask is right. Facial hair does interfere with the seal on a gas mask, so you want to kind of keep the facial hair, kind of tight if you can, or non-existent is best. But you want to make sure that the mask fits you, and one of the things that you want to make sure of is that you've got masks for the adults in your family, but one of the things is kids, especially little kids. There's not many products out there for children, and we're going to show you one as soon as we come back. Okay, a lot of concerns for preppers and survivalist families are their children. And there aren't a lot of gas mask products out there for kids, but this is one of them. This is an Israeli-made product. It's called the Bardus Child Safe Pro Hood Model. Now this one fits children 3 to 8 years old. And it's kind of different. It doesn't have the same type of seal mechanisms that an adult one has. What it does is it actually pumps up. There's a motor that does require lithium batteries to go with it. But this screws into it, and what happens is it creates positive air pressure inside of here, kind of like a balloon. So it filters through its own filter, through the motor, and straight up into here, and it creates positive air pressure. And instead of having an invasive seal, something just pressed on the child's face, this blows up like a balloon, so it's much, much easier to keep them in it and have it be less annoying or distracting for them. Now, these models are a little pricey, but most gas masks, especially children's systems, are, and there are very, very few out there. I mean, just precious few for children at all. And the Israelis, because they do live under constant threat of attack, especially by chemical or even biological agents from their neighbors, they are the only ones that I know of currently that are building gas masks for children, especially effective gas mask systems for children. Now, this one is made of good, tough plastic material and should sit on the child rather easily. It has a harness system to go around the child's body to keep it attached to them. It does have seals inside that are elastic-based to keep it tighter around the child. And the positive air pressure, this being like a balloon, simply forces out anything from the bottom end. No air is coming in. It's being forced out only. And it has a check valve here that basically expels some of the air. But the way that it fits on a child, it does create a balloon. And it is an effective way to keep your children safe from chemical, biological, or nuclear contaminants. And one other thing, it too has a drinking attachment, a drinking straw. And there is an attachment hose that goes on here to attach to a canteen or other devices or water bottle to put water in here so the child can drink while they're inside the hood. I know that it's a terrifying thought to most parents not being able to help your child and not being able to keep them safe. It's an even more terrifying thought to some people to have to strap your child into a contraption to keep them alive from a deadly agent that's in the air that they can't see. But if you are worried about that, this is one of the better systems. We use it for our own child. Getting back to the adult masks, there are many different types of masks, NATO and otherwise. The Russian ones, these are former Soviet technology. The Soviet Army was not known for high quality, so consider that when you're buying masks. What I'm going to show you here is kind of how to store a mask in your gear, okay? Go ahead and use bags when you're storing it long term. That way this mask, its seals are protected and so on. You've put it in a Ziploc. Now when you're in the field actually using it, I would not suggest storing it in a Ziploc. I would just put it in the gas mask pouch along with its filter and go. Now with all filters, just leave this the way it is. Don't pluck any of these. Don't open them. You're compromising the filter. These screw-off caps, that's where they screw into the mask. Leave them alone. When you store your filters, just store them. Leave the caps in place. Don't touch them. Most NATO gas masks have a common thread pattern, and most of them will fit other NATO filters. So even if it's not the right kind of mask, it's not the same model, generally, and not always, but generally, most of the filters follow the same thread pattern. So a good filter for another NATO-based mask would fit your mask if it's a NATO, something that's used by NATO. This one is a Finnish gas mask. It has no drinking straw. This is something that would be used, in my opinion, for short-term exposure, something like tear gas or some type of chemical or whatnot, something where you're not going to be in it a long, long time. You're going to be using this for 30 or 40 minutes or something like that, maybe an hour, or maybe less. But these masks are commonly available new in their packaging, so they're not used and they've been inspected and they are good masks. You can actually get these. You used to be able to get these for $20, and that included a filter for each one. You can still get them now for about 20 bucks a piece with a filter. And just look around online, Finnish gas masks. There are several other NATO masks that I highly, highly recommend. Current issue MSR masks with the wide open one bubble. They're very expensive, but they are a great mask. They have two filters. They can be used with one attached or with both attached. They have a filter on each side, and you can take it off for your gun side so that you don't have a filter over here, just one on one side. But if that's not a consideration, you can use both, and it extends the filtration life of the mask, but it also does one other thing. You're not just pulling air through one filter, you're pulling it through two, so it becomes easier in order to breathe, so it's less labored to wear the mask. But gas masks are an important part of your kit. Everybody in the world has access to pepper sprays, irritant agents, and tear gas these days. Police departments use them, the military uses them. Some forms of CS tear gas are much more potent than others. But there are all types of irritating agents out there that are used, and a nuclear, bio, or chemical event is certainly possible. Terrorists certainly could mount a nuclear, or not a nuclear, but a biological or chemical event, strike on the United States. They certainly could. So if it's a consideration, if it's something that you're worried about, I think you should have masks on hand. And I would do it anyway, because let's face it, if you're going to be prepared, then you need to be prepared. And that would mean all types of contingencies, including things to do with poisons of any type, whether they're nuclear, bio, or chem. And one of the other things that I want to show and talk about, these green packs contain military chemical suits. They are an OD green or camouflage suit with a top and a bottom. They have a charcoal lining. Now I hear everybody talk about, I've heard tons of people look at these and they say, oh, it's a nuclear suit. No, it is not a nuclear suit. It does not necessarily keep you safe from radiation. The active charcoal that is inside of this suit, the active carbon that's inside this suit, absorbs chemical contaminants. It absorbs things that would otherwise burn your skin or kill you. It absorbs them and neutralizes them. Now, if you were in a nuclear event, this could be used with a Tyvek or rubber suit or so on, along with your mask. But it's not actually a nuke suit, the way I've heard a lot of people say it. And these are available anywhere from 20 bucks to 50 bucks, just depending. And they have the sizes listed on the front, and they also have their uses. I've seen most people buy these at the surplus store where they've been cut out of the bag and the suit's hanging up. Well, don't buy those. The active carbons are just absorbing things right now, becoming less and less useful. The military puts them in these bags, these Mylar bags, and stores them this way for a reason. That way when you need them, you slice them open and you use them. or when you're in an area when you think you're going to need it, you slice it open, okay, and get it ready to use. But they don't need to just be sitting around. But it has the other reason why I like these bags is for the unlearned, it tells you what the uses are for the suit right on the bag. So anyway, it has your sizes, has everything that you need, and will tell you what you need to do to wear it. They're a good investment. They don't cost much, and keeping them at your bug out location or in your primary residence or your bug out vehicle would not be a bad idea. Anywhere that your mask goes, you might want to think about having one of these within ready access. And I would have them for each member of your family in the sizes that are appropriate to the people you're dealing with. Anyway, that's my take on the gas masks, and I hope it was informative. Again, I'm Mike with the School of Self Reliance. If you like our videos, watch our videos, share our videos, like us on Facebook, and thanks for watching.